Okay.
Okay. Shall I start, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of VKIT family, I welcome you all for the today's webinar on design thinking, critical thinking, and innovation design in association with ISTE, that is Indian Society for Technical Education. So let us start today's session with invocation song by Shrishti, first year AIML.
ಆವಕುಲವೆಂದರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಗೋವ ಕಾಯ್ವ ಗೊಲ್ಲನಂತೆ ದೇವಲೋಕದ ಪಾರಿಜಾತವು ಹೂವ ಸತ್ತಿಗೆ ತಂದನಂತೆ ಆವಕುಲವು ರಂಗಾರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಆವಕುಲವು ರಂಗಾರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದನಂತೆ ಗೋವುಗಳನ್ನು ಕಾಯ್ದನಂತೆ ಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದನಂತೆ ಗೋವುಗಳನ್ನು ಕಾಯ್ದನಂತೆ ಕೊಳಲನೂದಿ ಮೃಗ ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳ ಮರಳು ಮಾಡಿದನಂತೆ ತರಳತನದಿ ವರಳನಿಗಲಿ ಮರವ ಮುರಿದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಾರಿ ತೆರೆದು ಬಾಯಿಯೊಳಗಿರೆಳು ಲೋಕವ ಇರಿಸಿ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ತೋರ್ದನಂತೆ ತೆರೆದು ಬಾಯಿಯೊಳಗಿರೆಳು ಲೋಕವ ಇರಿಸಿ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ತೋರ್ದನಂತೆ ಆವಕುಲವು ರಂಗಾರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಆವಕುಲವು ರಂಗಾರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಆವಕುಲವೆಂದರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಗೋವ ಕಾಯ್ವ ಗೊಲ್ಲನಂತೆ ದೇವಲೋಕದ ಪಾರಿಜಾತವು ಹೂವ ಸತಿಗೆ ತಂದನಂತೆ ಆವಕುಲವು ರಂಗಾರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಅರಿಯಲಾಗದು ಅರಿಯಲಾಗದು.
Thank you, Shrishti, for the beautiful song. I, Lakshmi Shabadi, Assistant Professor, Department of ISC, on behalf of Janta Education Society and Vivekananda Institute of Technology, a warm welcome to all of you for today's webinar on design thinking, critical thinking, and innovation design, organized under ISTE VKIT Student Chapter in association with Institution Innovation Council, Vivekananda Institute of Technology, Bangalore. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome today's resource person, Dr. Gururaj KS, Professor, Department of CSC, GSSS, Institute of Engineering and Technology for Women, Mysore. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I am delighted to welcome dynamic and energetic person, Srimati Indira Gopal Krishna, Vice Chairman, VKIT. One who always supports, encourages, and motivates us for conducting events and a person behind VKIT's growth. I welcome you, ma'am, in her absence. I would like to welcome Dr. N. Govindraj, sir, Advisor cum Administrator, VKIT. Welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome our Principal, Dr. Padmanabha S, sir, Vivekananda Institute of Technology, Bangalore, who also supports, encourages, and motivates us for conducting the events. Welcome you, sir. I extend my heartily welcome to Dr. D.V. Chandrasekhar, sir, Vice Principal, VKIT. Welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome Dr. Vidya A, HOD, Department of CSE, Vice President of IISc, VKIT. Welcome you, ma'am. I would like to welcome Dr. Shaila KS, Professor, Department of EC, Placement Officer, convener of IIC BKIT. Welcome you, ma'am. I would like to welcome IST Chief Coordinator and NIRF Coordinator, Professor Dr. P. Vanajakshi, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. Now I would like to welcome the heads of various departments, teaching and non-teaching staff, and my dear students. I extend my warm welcome to all the participants for showing their interest to attend this webinar. I request Dr. P. Vanajakshi ma'am to brief about the program and about the resource person. Over to you, ma'am. You are not audible, ma'am.
Good morning to all. I, Dr. P. Vanajakshi, Associate Professor, Department of CSE, Chief Coordinator, ISTE, and NIF Coordinator, Institute Innovation Cell, would like to give a brief introduction about the VKIT ISTE chapter. Indian Society for Technical Education is a premier national society for teachers and students of the technical education system. VKIT ISTE opened in the year 2018 with the membership ID IM 2745 and the student chapter ID KA 145. The total 501 students are registered under ISTE student chapter. I would like to give a brief introduction about the today's webinar. So today we are conducting a webinar in association with ISTE, IIC, VKIT on design thinking, critical thinking, and innovation design by Dr. Gururaj KS. Design thinking is a recently emerging powerful process of problem solving that begins with understanding the requirements of the customer, which have largely gone unaddressed by the existing companies. This process has led to opening a new doors, which has given an impetus to drive innovation that encompasses concept development, applied creativity, prototyping, and experimentation. When design thinking techniques are applied to business, the success rate for innovation improves in leaps and bounds. Innovation important is in design because of design tools, processes can generate innovative new ideas, improve business performance, and help growth. Better ways to visualize design thinking using 3 Ps, that is philosophy, people, and processes. And the design thinking process can be articulated in 5 steps: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Design thinking is a term used to represent set of cognitive, strategic, and practical processes by which design concepts are developed. Many of the key concepts and aspects of design thinking have been identified through studies across different design domains of design cognition and design activity in both laboratory and natural contexts. Design thinking is also associated with perception for the innovation of products and services within business and social contexts. Some of these perceptions have been criticized for oversimplifying the design process and trivializing the role of technical knowledge and skills. So I will request all the participants, students, and the faculties to get benefited by this. The today's speaker is Dr. Gururaj KS, Professor, Department of CSE, GSSS, Mysuru. Sir has carried out his research work on design of an effective and a secured cloud-based online statistical analysis of voting system under VTU University, under the guidance of Dr. K. Tippeswamy, Professor, Department of CSE, VTU, PG Center, Mysuru. Sir is having a total 19 years of teaching experience and published many papers in international and conferences and journals. His area of interest includes data mining, data classification, analytics, cloud security, and he has delivered a talk on cloud platforms roadmap for publishing in quality journals. Sir has received the certificate of Best Project of the Year 2020 for the project entitled Design and Development of Sensor-Based Jacket for Women's Safety Using IoT. So from Karnataka State Council for Science and Technology, KSCST, Bengaluru. I'll request sir to continue with the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Sir.
you. So good morning, everyone. Before I start the session, I would like to thank the management principal and Vanjakshi ma'am for providing this opportunity to share my whatever I know about the design thinking aspects, which we have been practicing at our institute for the past several years. So before we start, let me make it clear. Just a minute. Ma'am, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
You are
Yeah.
audible, sir.
Yeah. Just a minute, ma'am. I'll make it. Hope you're able to listen to me and view the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So let us move on with the topic of our session. That is design thinking, critical thinking, and innovation design. So Dr. Vanjakshi madam has already laid the platform. Thank you, ma'am, for laying the platform and giving a brief idea about what is it that we are going to discuss in this particular session. That is design thinking and what actually is design thinking. Why do we need this design thinking? So the overall talk that will be spanning out for around 1 hour basically focuses on how we have to go ahead with design thinking and what are the different stages and why is it important and what are the tools that we have. Whenever we talk of any of the design thinking aspects, we need certain tools to carry out those aspects. So thinking is again a process. It's not just it's minor activity. It is a process that has to go through anything that we do. If I'm talking now, I have to think before I talk. If I'm presenting something, I have to think before I do anything. If I want to come up with a new idea, then I have to think before I go ahead. So any idea that comes to your mind has to be, hope, any issues, ma'am? Are you able to hear me? Hello? Hello? Hope I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Anything that you want to interact, please share it through the chat box. The chat box is open. I have muted everyone. Unmuting yourself will be difficult. So you can share it through the chat box, anything that you want to communicate to me during the session. Okay. At the end, I'll be unmuting everyone. So let us move on. So the life, whatever we are going ahead. So life isn't all about to live with whatever we have. Every day and day in and day out, we see new things coming up, and all of us are very familiar with our Play Store. Every day there are updates that we come across. The same Zoom meeting that we are using for our session today, it's regularly updated. So this is again an innovation. Every day we used to have a face-to-face interactions. Classes used to be on a face-to-face interactions, but now this is an innovation or the thinking of some brilliant minds that has come up with having this online interaction with several people throughout the globe. So whenever I want to interact, want to conduct a meeting, I need not go to the space and spend a lot of money and time for traveling and everything. I can just do it on online basis. This is again an innovation. So what is life is about? Life is all about finding new things, finding new ways of doing things. So everything that we do on a day-to-day basis has something that we can upgrade ourselves. So today, if suppose I have a degree, yes, there is a provision to upgrade yourself with the next thing. So it's all about lifelong learning. So everything that we do on a day-to-day basis, it has to be changed. What is what is important today may not be of more importance tomorrow because of the new aspects that we come across. In earlier days, mobile was a different aspect. It was luxury, but nowadays it is a need of every person. So as the life goes on, you have to create, you have to come up with new things, you have to come up with the different ways of doing things. So life is all about doing different things in a different way, which will be benefit for the society. So anything that we do, which should be for the so how do we come across? It is all about if we think in a creative way, not that whatever we think will be in a creative way. So creativity is all about, so whenever we want to talk of any technology as an engineer, it may be a computer science engineer, it may be an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, anything. If you want to be called as an engineer, you should be creative in nature. So creativity is one of the primary aspects of any engineer that we come across. So if we don't, what is creativity then? Thinking of doing things in a different way. So whatever I have today, if I'm using that in a present situation, how can I use it in a better way, in a better position, in a better aspects, so that I'll be benefited by that particular aspect. So that's what creativity is all about. So creativity is all about thinking of new things. How do I do that? Thinking is all about creativity, and implementing that what you thought of as a part of your is what we call as innovation. So innovation is doing new things. Creativity is about thinking about doing new things. So until unless you think in a different way, you'll not be in a position to do new things. So innovation, the platform for innovation is always creativity. So how do I get creativity? Is it related to the topic that we are discussing? Yes, critical thinking is very, very important. So there are two things that we discuss in this session. One is called as creative thinking, and the other one is called as a critical thinking. Are they related? So how do I try to see that critical thinking is very, very important as far as creativity is concerned? So all of us, I think we should be clear now. Creativity is a backbone for innovation. So without having this idea of how to be creative, so if suppose I want to be creative, so this is if you see this image, so any aspect that we do can be done in different ways. Only thing is we should find how do we do that. So the same umbrella here on on a floody day, there is some floods occurring. So everyone is using rain and everything. So everyone is using the umbrella in a different way. This chap, I think all of you are able to see the mouse that I'm moving over here. This chap is using it in a different way. He's converting it into a boat. So that's how the innovation comes, the creative. But is it innovative? Can it be feasible? Can it be utilized like this way? It may or may not be. So there are various technical aspects that we need to think about of using this umbrella as a boat, because of the factors like the weight of the person. I can carry a small baby on this umbrella, but not a person like me or elders who can use this umbrella as a boat. So there are various things that we need to think before we do it as an innovation. So innovation, the platform or the backbone for any innovation is thinking from a different perspective. If I'm following what others do, then you will be following the people who do the things, but you cannot be an innovator or you cannot be a creative thinker. So always think in different way. So when I say different way, it should be for the benefit of the society, not in anything harm to the society. So always think from the perspective of doing something innovative for the betterment of the society. That's very, very important, and it should be useful at that point of time or in future. So that is what is creativity. Creativity is all about doing things in a better way for the betterment of the society, and we have to be always, and the one of the important, other than creativity, one of the important features of an engineer is that you should be always a good observer. You have to observe what's going on, what is that I can make modifications, where I can change things. So one important thing that we try to come across during this pandemic is online teaching, right? We use Zoom meeting, we had Google Meet, we had different platforms. There was a different large scope for doing innovations from the perspective of online education. So various companies have come up with the different platforms for going through this online education. They use that as a platform to do things in a different way. So that's way scope. We have to keep observing where I can grab opportunity in order to do things in a different way for the betterment of the society. That's very important aspect of a design thinker. So coming to the, is it that innovation or design thinking or creativity, all these have been a part of the modern day life? No. This innovation or design thinking, without our knowledge, has been part of the society and part of all our engineers and the people of old age, where they were doing innovations for the better. Why not? I think all of you are able to see this advertisement in the television these days. If everyone is watching, most of you are watching cricket match, you might see that. Why not? That's the biggest question that we need to. Why can't I do this in a different way? So this innovation and design thinking or critical thinking has been part of everyone's life without the knowledge of our own, that we are using that. But we are using it in modern days in a different way by using different terminology, but it has been part of our, we were engineers right from the beginning. So we have come across various the evolution for long ago. So whenever we want to solve whatever the system that we have, if we are able to, the one, what is evolution? Evolution is you have a existing thing, how can I do it in a better way? That's what evolution is all about. So what is the best one simple example? All of you have seen this chair, I suppose. So what is this chair, the king chair that we always talk about? What is that better I can do? You have sofa, you have the cushion and everything. What is that is missing here? So free movement of this. And all of you would have seen this chair in your computer labs. You can turn around any way, anytime, right? This is an evolution that we have come across. The same chair, what okay, the same chair that was was lacking with rotation aspects. Whenever I want to rotate from one direction to the other direction, I had to move the chair or I had to get up. So the same has been evolution has gone through, and it has been incorporated in a different way by having this rotation to the chair, which is an evolution. This is again a design thinking. What is the problem that was perceived over here? The problem is that you cannot rotate or turn to other directions in a different by without getting up. So here that was incorporated. Coming to the second aspect, synthesis. What is synthesis? Synthesis is all about combining two or more ideas and creating a new idea. That's why we are very good at, right? So when we take two or more ideas and try to combine them together to create a new idea. So let us, the best example for that is we have an iPod and a telephone. I don't think I need to say the result of this. All of us are very good at using it. So that's the mobile phone that we are using. The phone as the music player, the video player, everything combined together, the camera. There are various different ideas that we have. All these cameras and all those, all the are incorporated into your mobile phone, which becomes what is in a way, it's again a synthesis of a new idea using the existing ideas. That's synthesis, which is again a design thinking approach that we. So reapplication, existing ideas, reapply it to a different environment. So you have the glue box. Now all of us use this Fevikwik and everything the way it is represented. So this is again, look at something old in a new way. So this is a glue which was in a different way of how to use this design. This again, the shape of this is very important. It's not just for the fashion or some reason that they have designed this. So the design is such that the flow of this gel or the gum or the glue should be in a proper way with a limited amount of glue that can be transmitted from the top to the bottom. That's where the design has come across. So it's not that any design that you see is not for a simple way that it looks. It is for a particular technical reason, and how to use it, how to make it more efficiently utilized. These designs are normally done, right? So this is a reapplication of the existing. Almost all of you have seen the toothpaste and everything. The shape of this will normally be like this. If you have a wide open mouth for that, you'll have more amount of space onto the brush, and you'll have wastage more than what is required over there. So you'll have this design over here. So the design plays a vital role in how I use it. So these are some of the inventions that has gone into innovations. This is a wheel. That's what why not aspect that you see converted into your wheels. You have semiconductor devices, and I don't need to say where we use the semiconductor device. It's become part and parcel of our day-to-day life in every aspect, including the mobile that I'm using, the laptop that I'm using, the car that I drive. everywhere I see this semiconductor chips, which will be used for one or the other reason. And we are using lasers, again the projectors that we use, the compact discs that we use, the printers that we use, all are working on the basis of the invention was laser, which is used, yeah, as an innovation in different applications of our day-to-day life. So every invention, when it is used in a better way, can become an innovation. It can be utilized in different applications. That's what innovation. So how do I use it is very important, right? So whether to use it in a better way or whether to use it for any destruction is your choice. So always for the betterment of the society, if I try to use the invention. So invention is all about thinking what I can do, implementing it into the real aspects which can be utilized by the society is what innovation is all about. So if you want to invent, we need to have critical thinking aspects, and creativity is very important aspect as far as invention is concerned. How do I use it is innovation. So innovation design and critical thinking are interrelated. And how is it that critical thinking and innovation? So I was using these terms right from the beginning. Critical thinking and creative thinking are the same. The question is creative thinking and critical thinking same? If it is same, then there is no meaning in discussing about this. So both are different, but they are interrelated to each other. So they are not same, but they are closely related to each other. So one doesn't exist without the other. So what is it that required for the other aspect? So critical thinking is all about active and systematic process of communication. So I have an idea, just like a eureka. Sometime you get an idea, sometime you get something comes that if I can do something in a different way, I can innovate something. So it is an active and systematic process of communication. I have n number of ideas. It happens many a times. Every student has n number of ideas, but the way you communicate is very important. So if you communicate in a different, if ease is represented by some other word, it may have a different meaning. So a systematic way, you have an idea, how you communicate. Until unless you communicate, it may not be utilized, right? So communication is very, very important. You have several ideas, and if it is kept for yourself without proper communication and its utilization, it's of no use. So you have to properly and in a systematic way, you have to communicate those ideas, and you have to see that whether it is feasible. Right? If I say I have an innovative idea, and I have some idea flashed to me saying that I want to design a bike which can run at 500 kilometers per hour, which is the speed of the flights that go at present. Yes, it's a good idea, but can I do this? How do I do this? I need to evaluate myself whether it is possible. Do I have the technology? Do I have the resources for it? And try to do those analysis, understand those, and what are the problems that you may face if at all it is designed. Yes, 500 kilometers, yes, if it is very good, but is there any drawbacks? Yes, it does have, because of the roads that we have and the accident, it is accident prone. So all these have to be taken into consideration and make decisions. So that's what critical thinking is all about. So critical thinking is once you get an idea, you cannot do it just directly. You have to think about its pros and cons and how to evaluate, how do I communicate it, so all those, and make a decision about going ahead with that particular thinking. That's what critical thinking is about. Now, what is creative thinking then? Creative thinking is about synthesizing the intuitions, sensations, feelings, and how to take that critical thinking into reality, right? Invention is critical thinking, innovation is creative thinking. So invention comes from your critical thinking and analysis and proper communication and doing the understanding of the problem and all those and making certain decisions comes under critical thinking. Now creative thinking is to synthesize this critical thinking into aspect of reality and how to make this into a product and then put it into your testing. So a product cannot come into the market without a proper testing. So alpha versions, beta versions, many things come into market, and later on you get the actual product that will come into market. So that's bringing your critical thinking into reality, using your intuition, sensations, the feelings, and how to use that with a proper framework is very, very important as far as critical thinking is concerned. Both are same, but One is interrelated to the, they are closely related. Critical thinking creates inventions. Creative thinking creates how to use those inventions into innovations or the products. That's very important aspect. Now, one can be a critical thinker without being a creative thinker. You can do innovations. A person who has found a laser, yes, laser is a very good invention, but he doesn't know how to use it, right? But an innovator is a person who has a creative thinking of using that resource. A person who has designed a wheel it's an invention, but how to use it on a vehicle or a two-wheeler or on a train, on different types of wheels that you can design to withstand the weight of different loads that is given to the vehicles. So all those are again in a way creative thinkings that come under this critical thinking. So a person can be a critical thinker without being a creative thinker. But if you want to be a creative thinker, you need to be a critical thinker. So that's very important aspect. If you want to be a critical thinker, so creative thinker, you should possess critical thinking. Without critical thinking, you cannot be a critical thinker. And if you want to be a critical thinker, you may not be a creative thinker. That's very important relationship between the critical thinking and creative thinker. So what I want to be is up to me. I may be a critical thinker. I have done various inventions, but if I don't know how to use those inventions, you cannot be a creative thinker. How do I use it is left to you as a creative thinker, right? So what is this creative thinking then? So the ability to imagine or invent something new is what creative thinking is all about. You have something, invention has been done. How to use that into reality, how to use it for the benefit of the society. If you have that ability, then you are considered to be a creative thinker. And the ability to generate new ideas by combining, changing, or reapplying ideas, right? How do I try to reapply that? I told you one example of that chair having a rotational aspect. That's an existing idea. Second one was combining the features, having your mobile features and the music player features, and trying to come up with a new idea of having a mobile with all the camera, music player, video player, all those come under the ability of having your creative thinking. Reapplying the ideas, a new already existing idea, if I can use it for a different application, yes, we are all very good at doing that. We take someone's document, change the name and everything, and redo that. That's again a creative thinking that we come across. So the ability to change or generate new ideas is creative thinking. So what should be done? If I want to be a creative thinker, I should have the attitude to accept changes and new ideas. And you should be flexible. If at all it goes wrong, you should be in a position to accept that it may be accepted by the society or may not be accepted by the society. You should be in a position to accept the failures if you want to be a creative thinker. Not that everything that you create will be a successful thing. Sometimes researchers try to do things and it may be a failure, but you learn something why it was a failure. So every research is not a successful one, and every unsuccessful research is not unsuccessful until unless you have not learned anything from that research. So you have to have the attitude to accept the changes, accept the failures. If at all you are going to create new ideas, all new ideas are not going to be successful always, but you learn something why it went wrong. So you have to be in a mindset to learn new things. That if you have that idea, mindset or the attitude of accepting the changes, yes, you can be a creative thinker. Now, I don't want to go in depth about this biology and mind and all those. What I just captured from some of the materials that I read. So creative thinking is all that comes from our brain on the mindset that we come across. So we have two brains as per the biology medicines. That is, one is right brain and the left brain. So if you are a good critical thinker, you have a dominant left brain, wherein you'll be very good at language, you'll be good at math, science, facts, logic, converging things into. So this any of your research is always oriented either diverging or converging. I'll tell you what is this diverging and converging in the later part of my presentation. So left brain is always focused on analysis, writing skills, facts, collecting the data, logical reasoning. All these are a part of your left brain. If you are good in analyzing, always we are we are very good at analyzing others, but we don't analyze ourselves. So we try to analyze the facts, and we try to do it in the mathematical representation. If my language is good, it indicates I am a good critical thinker, and I my left brain is more dominant than the right brain. What is right brain? Sorry, there is it should be I typing error over here. So it is intuition, artistic, musical, insightful, 3D images, divergence. If you are able to do this, all music player, music directors, your movie makers, and 3D image persons, all those are creative thinkers. Their right brain, they imagine things in a different way, right? So if you are a good painter, then you have a good right brain that is working. So you imagine the things and try to create those things, then you are a creative thinker. So, but are they interrelated? Yes, as I told earlier, you can be a good critical thinker, but may not be a creative thinker. But if you want to be a good creative thinker, you should be a critical thinker. So both are interrelated. So how are they related to each other? Critical thinking elements, what are those? It is convergence in nature, whereas creative thinking is divergence in nature. So what is this divergence and convergence? We'll go ahead and see how we can use it as part of our technical research. So what is the convergence? It includes your point of view, purpose, questioning, why not? That's a very important aspect of convergence or critical thinking. Collecting the information, designing the models, inference finding, that is analysis, and finding why this. Why is it that there are only few people who are very much interested in one particular aspect? So if I try to do the analysis and come to know about it and derive the implications and the consequences of it. So a person who is a critical thinker thinks twice before anything is done and tries to have assumptions and have a point of view. So it's all about all these critical thinking can be converted into creative thinking. So invention, innovation. Invention are done by critical thinking elements, and innovation is the creative thinking element. So it is all about empathizing, analyzing, observing, and imaging. So if you are a good observer, as I told, engineering is all about you should be a good observer about the problems that you see in the society, and how do I use it, those problems, how do I try to rectify those problems into opportunities by using technical aspects. So multi-dimensional thinking you have to go through, and create role models, and all those are the part of your creative thinking process. So emotion, synthesizing, all these are the approaches of a thinking process. If I say I'm good thinking, you should have emotions, you should have intuitions, and you should have a aspect of synthesizing your inventions into innovations. That's very important aspect. Ma'am, am I audible? Hope all of you are able to listen to me. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Hope fine then. Now there's a question: how do I try to improve my creativity? Is there any way of creating or improving the creativity? So what can I do? So normally the best answer, anyone can unmute and let me know, how do I improve my creativity? Anyone, if I have given the option to unmute yourself. Anyone? Hope you're all with me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, anyone can unmute and let me. How do I try to improve my creativity? What can be done? What is creativity is all about? Okay, fine. I think we'll not waste time. How to improve the. So improving creativity is all about creativity is thinking from a different perspective. So in order to improve creativity, the first and foremost thing that we need to do is don't think as others do. You have to think out of box, right? Whatever others are trying to do, try to do it in a different way. But remember that your thinking out of box should not lead to any drastic measures. It should be like, it should be always for the betterment of the society. That is very important aspect to it. That, put it into quotes. Any thinking out of box in a different way, doing things in a different way should lead to the betterment of the society rather than creating problems to the society. So you should be very careful while thinking out of box, whether I do it or not. So the best way to improve the creativity is think out of box. Now, what is this out of box? Don't think as others do. Think it from a different perspective. Any problem that you see, think it in a different. Normally, we have this intuition that whenever we see problem, we only think from the perspective of the problem. We convey n number of problems. Never we think of the solution for those problems. Think it from a different perspective. If this is my problem, how do I try to solve this problem? What is the best solution to this problem? How do I make technology as a solution for this problem? So yes, if you think from a different perspective, yes, what is creativity? If you want to be a very good creative thinker, you should have the ability to generate new ideas by combining, changing, and reapplying existing ideas. Ideas are not that it comes, any novel idea is a new thing, but normally the ideas will be derived from what is existing, and you have to combine the different ideas that are already existing. So you should have the ability to combine those ideas, right, and try to reapply those existing ideas to create your own idea. That is one thing as part of being creative. The second thing is you should have ability to accept changes. That should be your attitude, and never that all solutions are not that always the that you try to create or you try come up with new ideas are successful. You should have the ability or the attitude towards accepting the changes, and whatever that you try to do as a creative, it should be a process. There should be always room for improvement. It should not be a one-time aspect. It should be a process wherein you convert your idea from the uh, scratch to what is that exists. So it should have a proper process of going through that particular implementation of the idea. So another important thing about what we learn is emphasize on the skill of analysis. That is very much lacking in today's environment that we see. Always creativity, if you're not a good analyzer, you'll not be in a position to think, right? If you want to be a good critical thinker, you should have a good skill of analysis. You should analyze the things, why I should, what I should do, whether it is beneficial, whether it is it will be useful for the society. You try to analyze this aspects from different angles and try to create the solutions. So, and as I told, this design thinking is not a one person activity. Design thinking is a group activity. It's always a team. If you have seen that in any company that you go for a software development company or any company, it's always a team effort, right? So it is always a team effort. When we say team effort, and there'll be n number of members of the team, and you'll have different ideas from different people, and you should have a logical argument among the people and come across a conclusion for that logical argument. It should not be unhealthy discussions. It should be always a healthy discussions, because ideas come not from one person. Ideas and my perspectives vary from one person to the other, and it should have a logical discussions and conclude across what is the best idea that you can come across. So eliminate the incorrect path and focus on the correct one. So as I told you, in every organization or any company that you go, you work as a team player rather than an individual. So when you are a team player, your ideas may vary from the different set of people. So you should be in a way of convincing the team about your idea and focusing on what is the better thing. And if others' ideas are good, try to inculcate them into your idea, combine them together, come across a logical conclusion, whichever is the correct path to go ahead. So that's very, very important as far as critical thinking and creative thinking is concerned. So what are the characteristics of a creative person? Yes, if you want to just try to analyze yourself and see if you belong to this category of a creative person. First thing is you should be very curious. Think what is next, what is better. Think if you see anything, yes, you should be in a position to be curious to know what is next, what is it made up of, what is the process involved in that, and try to find problems. And we are all good at finding problems. That is a different issue, but how to find the solutions to those problems is another important thing. Enjoy the challenges. If you enjoy challenges, normally we get demotivated whenever we face several challenges. but you accept those challenges and try to overcome those challenges. That's very important aspect of a creative person. Be optimistic that you will find solution. As I told you, you should have an attitude towards accepting failures if at all it happens. You're not always successful in if you are going through this research aspects. Able to suspend judgments. Don't judge at the initial stage itself. We have this ida agadilla ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮುಗೀತು. That should not be the attitude. You should judge only when you come across various stages. Then you see that you don't accept failures at the beginning. Try to be as creative and make modifications and try to be to reach your goals. That's very important. Second thing is next is imaginative. See problems as opportunities. As I told, challenges should be accepted. Don't give up easily. So if you have all these features, you can consider yourself as a creative person. So that's very important. So what are the negative attitudes that block creativity? So that's a very important thing. Oh no, a problem. If you see a problem, yes, you accept it as a problem and you never go ahead. So you have this, it cannot be done. So when I started this presentation, I had some technical issues may arise at every stage. So if I say, yes, it cannot be done, I should find an alternative way of joining this meeting. So if I know alternate, I have to search for the alternative ways. If this is not possible, what is the other alternate way I can go ahead and do these things? If I say I can't do it, yes, I can't do it. So that is one thing that blocks your creativity. And you have this mindset that I'm not creative. And the other important thing that we see in many of our students is that what people think. If I ask someone to answer the question, yes, if I answer, what is that the other thing? Whether my question is a relevant question or not, whether if it's a silly matter or if it's a silly question, nothing is silly, everything is important. Just you should be in a position to think and ask questions and try to find answers for those. And if you have this fear of failure, you cannot succeed anytime. You should always be positive that you will be successful in whatever you do. That's very important as far as creative thinking is concerned. So if you consider yourself as a creative thinker, there's one question over here. So just let us see. The chat box is open. I think I'm running short of time. I'll leave it to you people and I'll try to answer. There are 6 eggs in the basket. 6 people take each one of the eggs. How can it be that one egg is left in the basket? I think I know everyone is a creative thinker and go to Google immediately. Don't do that. If you can have time, I'll give 2 minutes. Not 2 minutes. I'll wait for some time. Can you respond in the chat box? I think chat box is open for sharing. Hope all of you are there with me. No, you cannot unmute. You can put it in the chat box. How can I find that there are 6 eggs in a basket and each one of them have taken 1 egg, but still there is 1 egg in the basket? How can it be? Hope I can get an answer from anyone in the chat box. No? No, don't go for Google and search for it. Of course, you'll get it. That's the one creative job that every one of us does. Don't try to do that. If you can think, give some work for your brain and let me know if you have an answer for this. Okay. No responses. Okay, unmute option is available. If anyone can unmute and let me know. Yes, Deepak has responded. Good. Hope, Deepak, you are not Googled it. Yes, if Deepak is available. No, if you have a Google it, that's fine. That's the good thinking. Okay. Thank you for the response. Yes, the answer as Deepak suggested, the last person carries the basket with the egg, right? So this is like the last person carries the eggs basket with the egg. Still, the basket has an egg, 1 egg in left over there. Okay. So let us go ahead. So this is, it's not the only answer. There are several answers for this. You can just try to do that also. Try to Google. Just don't be a Google creative thinker. You can try to think by yourself. There are many. So for those who are into final year, pre-final year students, please try to do such type of problems. You try to because companies expect that from you people. You should be a creative thinker. That's what is very important requirement of the companies. That's where your first round will be always an aptitude round, which checks for your creative thinking and critical thinking aspects over there. So you just focus on those aspects before you turn up to your placements. Okay, so let's move on. So what is that we have to do as a creative thinker? Your goal should be to solve the problem rather than implement a particular solution. Someone has found the solution. If you implement that solution, it doesn't make any change. So what is my goal? If you want to be a very successful engineer, first and foremost thing is you should try to solve the problems. How do I solve the problems? First, you have to find the problems. How do I find the problems? You should have a view of observing things. When your problems do exist, even though you try to solve many problems in the society using different technologies available, still many problems do exist. Whenever we try to implement a new solution, the problems are come along with it. So still you should be in a position to find those problems and how do I try to go and find solution to that. If you are just a person who will try to implement a solution found by a particular person, you are just a developer rather than a design thinker. So if you want to be a design engineer, you should have the perspective of trying to solve the problems rather than just implement. If you are good in implementation, you can become just a developer who will be implementing the solutions which are found by someone else. So if you want to be a good design thinker, first thing is you have to change your mindset from implementing a solution to finding the solution. That's very important aspect. Now, if you see this over here, there are three circles that you find here. One is the desirability. What is the desirability? A solution, desirable solution, one that your customer really needs. What is feasibility? Your customers have n number of solutions. They want a rocket to be launched from their house, but that's the requirement of a customer. But the feasibility solution you have to try a feasible solution building on the strengths of your current operational capabilities. I told you want a customer wants a rocket to be launched from the roof of his house, but is it feasible? I have to try to check out the feasibility as far as what are the strengths, what are the aspects that we have over here. And the third thing is whether the business model is very important. If I do anything, I should gain profit from that. Financial aspects is very important aspect. So it's a viability, a profitable solution with sustainable business model. So what is the best thing? Whether I go with the implementation of my customer requirements, what may come, whether my building gets collapsed, it doesn't matter. Whether I implement, because customer is my God, I want to implement it. Whether I go with that, or I try to check with the feasibility, or I go with the profit oriented. So which is the best solution that we can define? The best is go with your profit making as well as a feasible solution. Never that all customer requirements can be implemented. So we should try to do the first. Once you get the customer requirements, you have to try to see the feasibility of that solution and its business model for that. Anything that you try to innovate, and if it doesn't have anything from the market perspective, no one will come to take up your innovation. So any innovation should be always market oriented and for the benefit of the society. Keep that in one more thing in mind. So this is the best viable innovation. So any innovation that comes across should be a profit oriented as well as a feasible solution. So that's what we have to always focus upon. Now, coming with all this background on the platform, what is design thinking then? It's neither art nor science nor a religion. It is the capacity which a person possesses. It's not that everyone will have this, but everyone has this thinking capability. But how do I try to go ahead with this? How do I use this critical thinking or creative thinking? And once I have that as a part of design thinking, how do I use the current available technology and use those technologies to implement your ideas, your creative ideas? And when I implement this creative ideas that comes up to your mind, how beneficial is it for the society? How much of business success that it provides? So I think all of you have heard about Manthan competitions, wherein the companies conduct these competitions in order to get the ideas from all the young minds, and you give the ideas, they make use of those ideas, and then they try to create a product out of it, and they benefit out of it by paying you some price amount. Yes, that's again a way of collecting ideas from different sources, right? Every young mind has different ideas, how we go ahead with coming up with new ideas. So that's one way of doing things. So what actually is design thinking? It's a process that encourages you to think out of the box in the pursuit of creative or innovative solutions. Now, when I say out of box, all of you might have seen this game of checkers. So this is called as a checkers game, wherein who is a winner? The one who places 3 circles or 3 X's either diagonally or on horizontal or vertical. Now the game is over here. Now I have to think out of box. What does it mean? I place one more circle outside the box and I say that I am the winner. No, that's not a way of thinking out of box. Thinking out of box does mean that you have to think from different perspective in order to be useful for the society. That's very important aspect. And within the constraints of the society, not that I think from the out of the box and create something violating the norms of the society. No, it doesn't happen. You have to think in a different way in order to find a different solution, considering all the facts of the society and the constraints of the society. That's very important thing that you have to think about. And design thinking proposes to get your hands dirty. That is always, design thinking is always an experiential learning. What do you mean by experiential learning? It is that you have to do, just some idea comes to you, until unless you try to, if I say I have idea of launching rocket from the roof top of my house, yes, you can try it out, but it's very costly affair. You should be careful while doing that. So be practical in feasibility analysis. Learn by doing approach is what design thinking is all about. Now, successful businesses is very important. As I told you earlier, any creative thinking, any product that you come across should be profitable, right? It should have a process. It should have a value for your. So no one gives you the money for any idea which is not going to generate revenue for the company. So if your idea should be in such a way that it should be for a profit for the company or for the organization or for the society. So profit business is another important thing. Your innovation should be in such a way that it should create certain business to the and not only the business, it should also be beneficial for the society, right? So shift from the focus of business centric engineering solutions to a customer centric solutions. So you should focus both business perspective as well as the end user perspective. It's very important. So design thinking is more focused on human centered. When I say human centered, it is an end user perspective. Madam, do I have time still? Madam, hello.
Sir, you can continue, sir.
Yeah. Okay, well, another 15-20 minutes I may take. Okay, yeah. So it's a human-centric approach that we have to go ahead. So what is design versus design thinking? Design is individuals. You get products, engineering part art. Design thinking about, as I told earlier, design thinking is not an individual aspect. Design thinking is from the perspective of n number of people who are involved in the team. And you have different perspectives from different set of peoples, their own experiences, their own ideas then will be shared, and you get different ideas which have to be combined together and put it into a product. So that's very important. So design thinking, design a art that is a simple image drawn by a person, maybe individual perspective, but design thinking involves technology, it involves business, it involves your customers. All these, whenever I do design thinking and come across an innovative product, I should think from all these perspectives. I have technical people around here who will be thinking from the technology perspective. I have business people around me who will be thinking from the profit perspective. I'll be having a set of people that is my customers or the end users from the human perspective. It should be beneficial for the users. I design a product which is around 50 lakhs, but very useful for the human beings. But no, will not be in a position to afford for it. Then it's of no use, right? So I should think from all these perspectives. And then come across an innovative product. That's very important. So what are the 10 principles of design thinking? It should be action oriented, and you should focus on changes. Whatever I have, if I bring and change the name and give it, it doesn't make innovative thinking or design thinking. You should have to make certain changes into your existing system. And as I told, changes should be always from the benefit of the society. Focus on human, as madam was saying at the during the introduction. Empathy is a very important aspect of design thinking. That is, you have to think from the perspective of the end users. I'll tell you what is that empathy and all those. Develop the foresight. You should know what is ahead of me when I try to develop those. It should be dynamic and iterative process. Promotes empathy. I just told you. It should focus on empathy. What is empathy and sympathy are two different aspects that I'll be focusing in the next slide. Reduce the risks, create shared meaning, rely on adaptable process, and you should have logic. That logic in the sense reasoning of what is good and what is bad, what is beneficial, what is not beneficial, what is useful for the society, what is not useful for the society. You should have all those aspects. The perspectives have to be taken care, and creativity is a very, very important thing. As I told you, if you want to be very creative in nature, you should have a critical thinking as your backbone, right? Without critical thinking, you cannot be creative in nature, right? So the various stages of design thinking: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. If you want to be a good engineer, you should have these important features if you want to be a design thinker. One is empathize. To create meaningful innovations, you need to know your users and care about their life. So there are two terms that we normally use: empathy and sympathy. Sympathy is feeling for a person. Feeling, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಏನೋ ಆಯ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋ ತರ. Empathy is fit into his own shoes and see what he experiences. Now, if suppose I take a blind person, sympathy is, ayo, he is blind, feeling that he is blind and he is facing difficulty. That is sympathy. What is empathy? Myself closing my eyes and walking for 100 meters by closing the eyes and experiencing what the blind person feels while he walks for 100 meters. That is empathy. So it should be, if I want to know what are the problems that a blind person goes through, and I want to design something new for that particular person, I should be fitting into his own shoes and experience what he feels. Then I try to know what are the problems that he faces, and I can design a solution for that. So that is empathizing. So whenever you want to work or design solutions for a particular aspect, you should fit into that shoes and try to learn what are the things that happen surrounding that environment. If I want to develop a software for a bank, I should sit with the bank and see what are the things that they go, what things they do, what are the business activities that they do, and see what are the difficulties they face when they carry out certain aspects, and see where I can implement technology as a part of it. Then I can become a good creative or innovative designer. So second thing is, once you know what are the problems that a particular person feels, then you have to define your problem. Framing the right problem is the only way to create right solutions. If you have defined your problem wrong, your solutions are ultimately going to be wrong. So defining your problem, what does it mean by defining a problem? When I say defining a problem, you should be very careful while selecting what is that inputs I receive, what is that process that I had to go ahead, and what is my expected output out of it. So if I want to have a solution as my outcome, what is that raw material that I need to get, and how do I process that raw material in order to derive my output? That's very important thing. That's what defining problem is. Just writing a sentence and saying that this is my problem statement doesn't make sense. So problem definition should always focus on what is the process, what is my expected outcome, what is the input that I try to focus, from where I derive this particular output, is defining aspect. Then coming to the ideate. So ideating is, I told you about the process. When I say process, the process, anything can be done in different ways. N number of ways are do exist, and among them, all are correct. But which is the feasible, which is the best, which is more economical, which is the best from the business perspective, which is best from the customer perspective? I have to think all those, and you have to get the different set of ideas from different group of people. And I told you, this Manthan competition is one platform where the companies try to get ideas from the different set of people, and you have n number of people give different ideas on a particular set of problem, and they try to get those ideas and that is the ideas give the way you can solve a particular problem, and take that and generate ideas from different set of people, and don't ever neglect any idea. Every idea will have certain meaning, so use that and put it in a proper way, right? Then coming to the prototype, once you have the idea and you know what is to be done, build a particular prototype, just like your house plan. Whenever I want to construct a house or a building, I have a plan of my house. Where is the bedroom? What is the dimension of the bedroom? What is the dimension of the drawing room, the hall, kitchen, and everything? So that becomes the prototype. Similarly, you can have a prototype for that and test that prototype before you implement the actual. So we have various simulators that exist now for testing the networking aspects, and there are various testing tools that we have which can be used. So the next stage is test. Testing is an opportunity to learn about your solution, where we go wrong, and about once you have that alpha version, beta version, we give it to the end users and see where we have gone wrong, what are their perspectives of your solution, and they may give you different ideas. This is not going fine. This is wrong. This can be modified. So that's a testing aspect that we have to focus upon. So design is not a single stage aspect; it's a process. Empathy, define, as Madam already told. Empathy, define. So from empathy, you synthesize your problem. You come to know what the problem and what are the different issues that we may face when we fit into that particular aspect, and we have to experience that and try to find this problem. When I say synthesizing the problem, I have to find what is my input, what is my output, as I told you. And once you know what is to be defined, what is the problem that I need to solve, I need to find the ideas from different people. I told you one problem can be solved in different ways. So get different ideas from different sources. How do I try to solve that? Create a prototype of that, test it. Once you are done with the testing, you feel you are comfortable and your solution is worth carrying out to be implemented, then implement it. And it's a iterative process, and it keeps on. So here there is a three circles that you observe, the collaboration that we come across. One is the business perspective, one is your engineering perspective or technology perspective, and the other one is from the customer perspective. You have to collaborate. All these have to be collaborated together, and this process has to be carried out by all the three set of from the perspective of all the three different categories of people, and then your idea will be implemented in a proper way. I told you this. I'll just go ahead. What is empathy and definition? They go hand in hand. So what is that I need to do? So every design thinking will be done from three perspectives. One is problem finding, that we in short I call it as PF, idea finding, IF, and solution finding. So empathy is all about finding the problem. Empathy and definition is all about finding the problem. What is that? Do we have the sufficient knowledge about the problem? If I don't have sufficient knowledge about the problem or the stakeholders, I have to fit in their shoes and experience over there, collect the information from them about the problem, step into their perspective, and understand what are the issues that they go ahead, and what is that they come across, and what is that solution they are expecting from the technology perspective. Understanding that, have it taken into account of all the stakeholders perspective. That is one thing that we have to focus upon. If there is and taking all this into consideration, we have to define the problem. For once we have defined the problem, it has to be briefed to all the stakeholders. And then if I have defined a problem for the bank, I have to call the bank employees, bank manager, and everyone, and then brief out, this is what I have tried to identify the problems, and this is where you are trying to face, we are facing the problems. This is where I can implement a technology-based solution, which will be beneficial and which will be useful for your further implement. Once it is implemented, it will be beneficial for the bank. So I have to debrief that everything to the end users. Second thing is ideate. So what is that? So first define empathy and definition is all about problem finding. Second is idea finding is through the ideate. I just told you diverse ideas from different people and different. This is what diverging is all about. Diverging is getting to different set of people, different walkthroughs of people, those who are gone to the different walkthroughs of life, and understand from their perspective. And I gave the example of your banking. I have to go through the account section. I have to go through the cashier. I have to go to the bank manager, the one who deposits the cash to the ATM machine, and all the different perspectives have to discuss and get the ideas from different perspectives. What is their idea about the problem? What is that they want as a solution? And and n number of people will come up with the different ideas. Collect all those sufficient ideas from different set of people. And it's not that the customers also will have certain ideas. They may say, "Hing madidre alla hing madidre chanagirutte anta." Just collect those ideas and understand that what is their requirement, what is that idea. So, and one we have that, we have n number of ideas, that is called as diverging. They receive your ideas from different set of people. Once you have that, arrange the ideas and try to understand each one of those ideas and try to find the most promising one among them, or it may be one or two or three, which is more likely to solve your problem, and combine them together. And that is what we call as reverging. Put it in a line. Decide on your most promising idea. Combine two or three ideas and fit it into your requirements. And the most idea that you can come across is called as converging. So any ideation process will have diverging, reverging. Diverging is getting ideas from different walkthroughs of life. Rearrange those ideas, that is reverging, and combine all those together. The one which you have shortlisted, combine them together to have a most promising idea, that is called as converging. That's an ideate process. So problem finding is empathize and define. Idea finding is all about ideate. Solution finding is about prototyping. So we have to define one particular prototype and put that into practice and give it to the end users or the customers. That is called as alpha version or the beta version. Once you get the feedback from all those people, and this prototype and MVP are the two different approaches that we use for getting customer feedbacks. Why MVP is a minimum viable product, which will be designed with minimum amount of expenses and the efforts and time that we spend, and give it to the end user. That's called alpha and beta versions. Give it to the end users. And once we get the feedback from all the stakeholders, what are their needs, what is to be upgraded, what is to be modified from their perspective, from different set of people, try to collect those feedbacks and try to revisit all the stages and come across a solution for that. So that is so diverging, creating diverse ideas and approaches, how the problem might be solved. Reverging is rearranging the ideas and elaborate more on the most promising ones. Converging is deciding on the most promising idea. That is diverging, reverging, and converging. These are the three important stages of any design thinking process. So we have to go through all these stages of design thinking. So any research also focuses on all these three aspects. Talk to all your customers, get your ideas, come again, align your research idea into the most promising one, and then implement it, right? So diverging, as I just told you, don't finalize. Open-minded to create more diverse ideas, including all stakeholders' perspective. How do I get those? Have this hitchhike, that is Manthan, as I told you. That's a idea pitching competition, wherein you get ideas from different set of people, right? Focus on fluency in the idea generation and don't care about the quality of the idea. As I told you, never judge an idea at the initial stage itself. Every idea will have something or the other thing that you can grab from it. So every idea is very important. Don't neglect any of the ideas that are provided by the end users. Collect those ideas, generate as many possible ideas as possible. That is diverging. Pitching, hitchhikes or Manthan like competitions are very, very important aspects. Then try to see where you have gone. If any idea has a mistake or an error in idea, just try to just neglect them. What is important for you, just focus on that. Then reverging is be jointly active, reverge into a group effort. Everyone needs to take part, collect your own set of people, listen carefully. The presentations are one thing that goes through. Have a proper understanding, listen to every idea properly, and just you should listen to understand. Always we have this bad habit of we always listen to reply rather than listening to understand. So have this patience. You should have a good listener if you want to understand the ideas. First, before you try to respond to any person, you just try to understand what is that is being focused over there, and move very carefully to see what is that they are person who is demonstrating their idea is going to provide and how useful it can be. Try to capture as much as possible from all the ideas that you come across and align them according to your requirements. And converging is combine all those ideas, protect your originality, that is novel ideas are very important. So sometimes ideas may be captured from someone else, or so you have to see that you should have a good protect your originality, trust the responses. You should trust the ideas that is, if I go through this particular idea, I'm able to reach my particular goal, or I'll be able to design the product. So see what are the different aspects, how it will be beneficial for the end user, how it will be beneficial for the business perspective, and how it will be useful from the technology perspective, whether it is feasible or not, whether go ahead with finding, have an imaginative mind of what may be the end solution. Instead, work with different ideas of that. So there are various tools that are available. Let me wind up my session with this some examples of these tools for design thinking of diverging, reverging, and converging. So problem finding, idea finding, and solution finding are the three important aspects of any design thinking process. So when I say diverging, what are the tools that we have, like business model canvas, mind mapping? There are various, empathy mapping. So one most uh, of the times we use is the idea pitching, that is used most of the times. And empathy map, as I told you, fit into their shoes and see what is that they experience, and see how the customers, what are the, I told the example of a bank that comes under the category of customer journey. Sit with them and see what they are doing, what are the difficulties that they face, right? And there's one more that you find for ideas here: brainstorming, brainwriting, analogy. 635 is one most widely used. Like, they give 6 minutes, everyone they take 6 people at a time, give everyone will be asked to give 3 ideas within a span of 5 minutes. That's called as a 635 approach that we come across, right? Reverging is all about collecting different ideas from the people and combining them together as a sequencing, and then coming across selecting set of ideas which can be useful for you. Converging is combining all those ideas to generate one such idea. One example from each of those I'll take and try to finish. So the business model canvas is one thing. So when I try to, I told you 3 perspectives have to be taken from the design thinking perspective. One is business, technology, and the customer. So this is from business model canvas is the perspective of the business set of people. So whom do I try to partner with? Who are my most important partners? If I say bank, all banking are my partners. They have to involve in the development of these tools. They have to invest in that, right? What are the key activities? What is that I do? What is that I deliver to the end users? What is the product that I'm going to deliver? What are the resources that I get? So servers, my software tools that I use, all the resources, the input from where I would get all the resources. So what is that contributes as a value for that? If I design a particular product and give it to the end users, it should be beneficial and useful for the end users. It should not be like it should creates a new problem to the end users. So how much value, if your product is of value based, they try to purchase it. If it doesn't serve any value to their regular activities, they don't go ahead and invest in your design the product that you design. How do I try to build relationship with the customers? How do I reach them out? How do I provide service to the customers? Once it is implemented, how do I provide the maintenance aspects? How do I try to upgrade them? How do I distribute to the end users, right? So who are my customers? From all the, what is the revenues? How do I generate money? Normally it is like the funds will be generated from different CSRs or different companies, and different, you may have a share market that will be invested. So there are all the things that we have to, how do I, cost estimation is very important. What is my cost estimation for the manpower, for technology aspects, and marketing perspective? All these has to be taken care from the business model perspective. Coming to the second aspect that I told you, idea gallery is one thing that has to be taken. Collect all the ideas, use tools for a number of less than 50 options, keep as much as possible. So have all those ideas, return it, and then line up all those ideas into a microboard, cluster them together, and see, have a comparative analysis of each of those ideas, revisit each of the ideas and try to understand each of those ideas, and try to combine the best out of all those, and then have a single idea generated. Or that's called idea gallery. So you have n number of ideas, combine all those ideas. That's the idea gallery that we use. And coming to the other thing is prototyping. So as well as solution finding is concerned, prototype is very important. So based on idea that is being generated, use all the suitable materials, have the best is the simulation tool for networking projects that we do. Simulation tool is the best way of prototyping things. If I want to go for civil engineering projects, a thermocol based or plaster of Paris based product model is another way of finding the solution, which is cost effective and minimum viable product, right? That is what we release into the market. With I think all of you are using Zoom with a basic version. Whatever I'm using is a basic version. If I want to have all the features, I need to go for the paid version of it. So how do I know a basic version? I'll get to use to it, and I'll feel that some feature is required for me, and I'll go for upgradation. I can give the feedback for those, and I try to implement that and go ahead with the basic, the advanced version of it. So a prototypes provide a very good platform to know how best it is suited for the customer's perspective and the business perspective. So you can use this prototyping. So whenever you are doing prototype, think with your hands as if you are using that system. Think from the customer perspective. Don't be biased, and always we have this habit. I give it to my very good friends who always say very good, very good. That doesn't make sense. You have to give your prototype to n different categories of people and get the proper feedback, right? The proper feedback is very, very important aspect as far as prototyping is concerned. And if there is a failure, don't get disheartened. Try to do it in a different way. You should be very fast, quick. So you're prototyping and getting feedback. If it takes 3 to 4 years, it doesn't make sense. It should be as early as possible. Don't get too emotionally attached if it is a failure, or if it is a success, don't be too happy, because prototype may be successful, but the actual product may not be successful. So you should be very careful while designing these prototypes. Iterations are very important. Don't go with one single prototype. Have the feedback, regenerate one more iteration of your prototype, third iteration, but don't have more number of iterations. Have an optimal number of iterations. So and you should be focusing on what is that I'm testing here, not that every aspect can be tested using the prototype. You should focus on what is the central issue of my focus, what is that I expect from as a feedback from the end users. And as I told you, prototype should be from the perspective of the end users and how the end users react to your prototypes. So just let me, I think I'm done. Another 5 minutes I have. So you should easily take care that while designing the prototype, don't neglect any aspect of your prototype. Try to implement as many ideas as possible, whatever you want to provide to the end users, and try to collect as much feedback as possible from different walkthroughs of life. And it should be easily, and this prototyping has to be done in the early stage. So don't go all the aspects. You have spent a lot of amount, and your product has been come to the end stage, and then you do prototype. It doesn't make sense. Early failure is very, very good. If you fail at the end, you have invested a lot, and you go with a lot of loss. So early estimation is very, very important. Easily avoided. If you identify your faults where I need to modify myself using the prototypes, it becomes very easy for you to reframe your problems and then come across what is expected by the end users. So I just you can just go through this. So this is one prototyping approach that is called as need, approach, benefit, and competition. What is the need of my prototype? What is the solution that I have found across? And how does this solution create benefit to the end users as well as the business perspective? And is there any competitors who have already come across this, right? So while designing the prototypes, you should have a very clear line of thoughts. What is it that I am creating the prototype for? You should have a very easily understood design from the perspective of the end users. Less is more. Don't have more number of text and have less amount of text, and give more amount of features that you want to create to the end users. Create empathy, as I told you. You should be always think from the perspective of the end users, being in their shoes, fitting into their shoes. Convincing, you should be very convincing to the end users. When I say end users, two perspectives here. One is your customers, the other one is your business partners. So you should be able to convince your business partners who invest money on your product, and you should be able to convince your customers how it is beneficial to the end users and why should they go for that particular product. So design thinking innovations that we have come across. This is, I think you're able to see this. This is one of the earlier innovations. The product is all your Wi-Fi devices that we have, wired connections that we had. We have Wi-Fi. Wherever I want, I can connect, and dynamic host configuration protocol is one of the best inventions, wherein your IP addresses can be configured as and when I want to connect to the system. IP address will be reconfigured as required. So this is Wi-Fi is very, very important thing that we have come across. Then I think all of you are very much used to this nowadays, because of if you are a computer science student, you might have seen this most of the times, the computing environment. And what we see today, yes, laptops, stand modes, tent mode, table mode. Yes, the laptop can be used in any mode that you want, right? You can turn it into 360 degrees based on my requirement, right? That's an innovation, because the requirement of end users was different. I want to I have my laptop turned visible to me. I want to show it to my customer. I can just turn it into a different mode and then convert it, right? I can use it as a tablet mode, or I can use it as a tent mode. So I can use the standalone mode. This is a good innovation that we have come across. Then the other one is the, all of might have seen this and need not say this again, the wheels, what has been the innovation. Then the next what we have is, so to keep it hot, the biscuits, this is one way of protecting it, hot boxes. Instead have a cup of tea, hot coffee or a tea. Beside this, below this, you have a cabin wherein you can place your cookies, which will be warm enough. Right? This is a good innovation thinking that we come across. This is, I think many of you who visit online marketing see this, the choppers. Instead of having one scissor, you can have multiple scissors at a time to chop the things with much faster, right? So coming to this, this is one thing we see in most of our food outlets. So I don't need to say this. This is used by many of us these days. So pizza, the most favorite of all the modern day people. How to cut this? So conclusion. So whenever this is very important from the perspective of the students, employers prefer creative employees who can come up with innovative ideas. So those innovative ideas should be for the growth of the company, and you should involve in doing justice for the development of the company. That's very important perspective. You should be a creative thinker, innovative thinker, and you should be very proactive and think out of the box. When I say out of the box, not the one example that I showed, you should think from a different perspective than what others do. So you should be always ahead of the competition. Don't fall behind. Always think in a different way. So as I said, no one knows everything, but everyone knows something. So let's all be creative thinkers, and let's try to do something better for the society. Okay, all the best to all of you, and wish you all a creative, innovative, and especially a fun-filled journey of technology-based innovations in future. Thank you all of you for your patience listening, and if you have any queries, I am there to answer. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, anybody? Anybody interested to ask question? Yes. Yes. Hello. Hello. You can unmute and you can ask the question.
So the floor is open for unmuting. You can unmute yourself, or you can drop it in the chat box.
Okay, sir. Sir,
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir
Thank you
has
for the
explained.
opportunity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir has explained about the creativity is thinking, the design thinking, and the critical thinking, and also he has given the important points related to the how to improve the critical creative thinking, and be a good critical thinker and a good analyzer to do innovation design. And sir also given a very important message: remove your negative attitudes which block creativity. If you are a critical thinker, in that how you can change the directions of the problem solving and the principles of design thinking and overview of all the tools. So thank you very much, sir, for your innovative talk and your excellent talk on design
Thank you.
thinking
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
and innovation design.
Okay. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. I thank the management of VKIT, principal and madam, for providing this opportunity. And I thank the management of GTPlus ITW for permitting to take up this task, and hope it was a useful session to at least to certain set of people, and hope everyone makes use of this opportunity and become good innovative thinkers and be successful in your future. Thank you, all of you, for your patience listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude and humanity. Dr. P. Vanajakshi, Associate Professor, Department of CSE, IST, IIC Coordinator. I'll take this privilege to present a vote of thanks. I thank our JES management that support and encouragement in conducting this webinar. And I would like to thank Dr. Gururaj KS for your excellent talk on design thinking, critical thinking, and innovation design.
Thank you.
Sir, you have spent your valuable time with us. You are motivated our students and the participants in to design with innovative thinking and related with critical thinking also. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
We
you, ma'am.
feel,
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
I thank Vice Chairman Srimati Indira Gopala Krishna ma'am for her support in conducting this type of activities in the campus. I would like to thank Dr. Govindra sir, advisor cum administrator VKIT, for his encouragement in conducting this webinar. I would like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. Padmanabha S. sir, for his motivation, continuous support in conducting this webinar. I would like to thank Dr. D.V. Chandrasekhar, Vice Principal VKIT, for his continuous encouragement in conducting this webinar. I would like to thank convener, Vice President, and the President of our Institute Innovation Cell for their continuous support. I also thank all HODs, HODs of all the departments of VKIT, teaching and non-teaching, and all participants. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Hello,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am. I'll take. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I'll take leave.
I'm going to wind up now, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.